Never before has our world's climate been so widely discussed. It permeates the news, inspires scientific debate, and is featured in movies and television programs. But our climate is much more than just our day-to-day weather. It is a dynamic system with effects that extend from the ocean floor far into the atmosphere above, affecting everything from our health and well-being to our economy. We influence it, we depend on it, and for hundreds of years, scientists have studied it. But much of the research that has been collected over the years is difficult to use today and at risk of being lost forever. But thanks to the Climate Database Modernization Program, millions upon millions of precious pieces of climate data are being preserved. CDMP is a partnership between the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and private industry to preserve documents, photos, microfilm, and other media in digital form and make them available via the World Wide Web. CDMP ensures that our valuable and completely irreplaceable research is protected and made available to the scientists who need it. The state of our planet's ice caps and glaciers is a hotly discussed news topic today. Dr. Bruce Molnia of the United States Geologic Survey collects historic photographs of glaciers. The results shed light on this ecosystem and potential consequences for its future.
One of the photos that has gotten a tremendous amount of distribution in the media, on television especially, is a photograph that was made in 1941 by William Field, and one that we duplicated in the summer of 2004. When we went back and relocated the site of that photograph, the world had changed. When you compare the photos, you get some idea of rates of landscape change. Also, by understanding how the vegetation changes and how rapidly new vegetation is established, it also gives us some insights into how ecosystems evolve. Having access to digital data has made it extremely easy to take almost a complete library of historical imagery into the field and have provided tremendous insights into how climate is changing and how landscapes are evolving. And without the CDMP funding to permit this archive to be developed, much of this task would have been impossible.
Gas flaring, considered an environmental and economic tragedy by many, the monitoring of this phenomenon is of vital importance to countries and businesses worldwide. When Dr. Chris Elvidge of the National Geophysical Data Center looks at photos of the Earth at night as seen from space, he sees a lot more than the average person, including this valuable natural gas that is being burned off and released into the atmosphere instead of being used.
For 2006, using nighttime lights data, we calculated that there was 400 million metric tons of CO2 emissions worldwide from gas flaring. When we looked at how much carbon emissions the average vehicle produces in the United States, figures from the US EPA, and related that to how much carbon was emitted by gas flaring, what we found was that the gas flaring carbon emissions were equivalent to 56 million vehicles in the United States. And so it really is a substantial amount of carbon that is being wastefully burnt and disposed of in the atmosphere. Previously, there haven't been any numbers to put in that field for how much carbon that is going to the atmosphere is coming from gas flaring. It simply was unknown. So we're starting to fill that record in. And with the film that's been scanned by CDMP, we want to extend that record back into the 1970s.
Climate is not just an issue for human beings. It also affects some of the world's most powerful and majestic creatures, such as the southern resident killer whale, a species now in danger of becoming extinct. Through CDMP, Dr. David Bain of the Northwest Fisheries Science Center is digitizing years of photographs and audio recordings of these magnificent animals to try and solve the mystery of how this happened and what future implications are for whales and humans.
Southern resident killer whales are endangered, and we think there are a variety of factors responsible for that. Some are man-made, like toxins in the marine environment, the reduction in salmon availability and vessel traffic, but some of them are natural, related to climate. So what CDMP does is it allows us to get all the relevant data in one place. It's important to put together these collections that individually may only be a few years each, because a killer whale lifespan can be over 80 years, and that's obviously longer than the career any one of us will be. With the databases, the CDMP is helping us create, through digitizing images and audio recordings, help us put together a recovery plan, and that recovery plan will be good not only for the killer whales, but also good for the people that depend on the same resources the killer whales do.
Weather affects our lives on a daily basis. Businesses and the economy can be drastically affected by weather. Digitizing years of historic daily weather data allows Dr. Mike Pilecki of the Illinois State Water Survey to put our daily weather in a historic context.
CDMP for its daily data is really valuable for giving us a lot more statistical information on climate variation that can be used for practical applied purposes for engineers who are planning water systems, for municipalities, for understanding potential changes in the growing season, for agriculture, for also characterizing heating and cooling degree days, and for energy industry purposes, for the creation of weather derivatives. This will be a very valuable resource for the private sector in conducting their business that relies on climate statistics. The value of having preserved this information and having access to it through digitized data is just a tremendous boon to our scientific analysis of climate change in the U.S.
All of these scientists rely on teams of technicians from across the country to make sure that the critical data they have gathered is properly preserved. CDMP's private industry partners work in concert with scientists and play a vital role in the digitization process. Data technicians painstakingly scan and key in individual pieces of data for literally millions of documents. These vendors work very closely with scientists to make sure that the information is not only accurate and accessible, but also correctly coded for efficiency so that new information blends seamlessly into their existing digital archives. As of 2007, CDMP has rescued more than 52 million documents, and in the process has created scores of high-tech and data entry jobs in the private sector, many of them in economically challenged regions. Today, CDMP's role is more critically important than ever before. It is estimated that 1/3 of America's gross national product is affected by our climate. As CDMP continues to preserve our nation's irreplaceable research, it will have an undeniable impact on how we prepare for an evolving climate in the future.